So, Synthetik 2. Let's talk about it. Shall we? Now, after playing everything, I played it multiple times, and this is probably the first time I come back to it after they did a pretty big update. Oh, actually two, I think. So, coming back to it, I'm actually kind of excited of seeing what they have ready to go, and I'm excited to talk about this. Let's just get into it. So for those of you that don't know, Synthetik 2 is a roguelike top-down shooter in early access where you and your friends play as androids fighting a machine legion, essentially. You are fighting on the behalf of the human resistance, I believe. So that's kind of the whole premise of the game. Hey guys, Future Iron here. I forgot to mention one quick thing. At the beginning. The game is actually only for PC and it's only on Steam. So I did not clarify that. It's not on consoles or anything else at the moment. And as far as I know, there's currently no plans, as far as I know, for it to come to any consoles or anything else yet. But who knows? If they finish the game, I feel like it could do quite well on consoles or at least Switch. I feel like that would be a very good console for a twin stick shooter game like this to come to. So the game is developed and published by Flowfire Games, who are an indie game studio located in Berlin. They have one other game under their belts, which is actually the predecessor to Synthetik 2, which is called Synthetik Legion Rising. So Synthetik 2 is actually almost a exact continuation of that game. And I will say it's a definite sequel, like it is very improved. So the game state and everything, as well as the potential for Synthetik 2, it was released in early access on November 11th of 2021, and it has received regular patches or hotfixes throughout the years as well, which is pretty nice. They've also had several major updates. They actually categorize these updates by U1, U2, U3, and so on. And they are actually currently on U14 build of the game. According to their roadmap on their Steam page, they have U15, 16, and 17 all planned out for the rest of this year and going into 2025, it seems. Inside of each of those updates, they're going to do major overhauls on different systems, such as the HUD, as well as menu elements. They're actually going to be going from the main menu aspect, and they're actually going to make a base of operations in U15 where you build your bases and everything, upgrade them, talk to NPCs for all the different UI and menus and stuff like that. So you're actually going to have a physical, kind of like a physical menu you can walk around on, stuff like that, the base of operations where you prep and upgrade and do all your different things and whatnot. But along with those, they're going to be adding in party systems, quests, even story elements, which we'll get to later. Friendly NPCs, more bosses, even reworking some bosses, more gameplay and balancing and stuff like that throughout the game. Even a new class, as well as overhauling class perks and the different modular systems and everything. Pretty much, they have a lot of stuff planned out on their roadmap, and I'm excited for it. Now, graphics. Compared to the previous game, Synthetik Legion Rising, the graphic system in Synthetik 2 is drastically better. The first game was more of a pixelated version of the graphics, whereabouts in Synthetik 2, it's full 3D models and everything, 3D environments that you can walk around in. The shading, shadows, ray tracing, and many other things in the game, it makes it look wonderful. When I last played it, before the U14 update, I think U13 as well, I played it up, I think I was on like 11 or 12, I think was the last time when I played. The graphics and everything reminded me a little bit more of, I guess, like Tron almost, where everything looked a little more like sleek and whatnot. It didn't look bad or anything at all. It just kind of looked a little bit more of like computerized space and everything. Whereabouts now, it looks very nice. As you can see from the gameplay and everything, it looks very, very nice. So I'm actually pretty happy with that. Now the gameplay, is probably the longest section of this review, because there's a few things I feel like need to be talked about with it. The gameplay is actually pretty standard in some areas when it comes to your typical top-down roguelike shooters and such. But there are a few things that these guys do in this game that are actually a little bit more unique. Not necessarily that the mechanics themselves are unique. We've seen them in other games, but I've never come across too many games that have all of these elements together in this fashion. Some of the things that are familiar are things like procedurally generated levels, and you need to fight multiple enemies and stuff like that, different types of enemies and such throughout that level, which is very familiar in a lot of roguelike type games. Some of the things that they do that makes it stand out is actually active reloading, where when you are reloading your weapon, if you press the reload button again at a certain point or over a colored strip, it will instantly complete the reload. There is also weapon jamming in the game. When your weapon jams, it blocks you from being able to fire until you've cleared the jam by pressing the reload button multiple times. Unjamming instantly reloads the entire magazine, and if done quick enough, can be actually faster than reloading itself, which is pretty nice. And most weapons require the magazine to be ejected before you can even start the reload process. And it is possible to actually switch weapons after you eject some magazine from one weapon. So you can be in the middle of ejecting and reloading, but then swap to another weapon really quick if you need to, which is also probably the fastest solution compared to reloading, jamming, or anything else. And then finally, there is movement-based recoil. When you stand still, as we all know, your accuracy goes higher. While you're standing still, you hit your targets better. But while you're moving, it drastically lowers the accuracy of the weapon, but that also depends on the weapon. Pistols or light weapons, such as SMGs and pistols, are easier to use on the go, whereabouts things like sniper rifles or LMGs, they're going to have way worse recoil when moving, so you need to stand still for a few seconds in order to get that accuracy. Now, sound design. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, from what you guys are hearing, honestly, I don't think it's too much of an argument there. The sound design in this game is done very well, all the way from your character movements to the gun sounds to the enemies chatter and stuff like that when they're talking, and even the music. Every single part of it I very much enjoy. The weapon sounds like they actually have a kick to them, and the music is very well done and sounds amazing. It's very amped up, so it helps keep the energy going while you're playing the game, and I love that. If you like a game that just kind of feels a little chaotic with all the gun sounds and music and everything going on and whatnot. And to kind of go back to the graphics, with like the camera shaking and all that kind of stuff too while firing weapons and doing all these things, very well done. Very, very well done. I enjoy it. Now, the controls. This was probably the only thing that I kind of had a little bit of a moment with. Not really an issue or anything. The game primarily supports mouse and keyboard, but it also has controller support, which is nice. But I've come to enjoy these kinds of games on mouse and keyboard because of the quick response time for aiming while using the mouse compared to using a joystick on a controller. But I also enjoy the simplicity of controllers when it comes to games. Like, I don't mind some games that, in a game like this where things are kind of more meant to be on the slightly simpler side for controls, and it's not like a simulator where every button on the keyboard needs to do something. It kind of feels like it's in between a little bit. I needed to do some rebinding to make it feel a bit more natural. Normally my issue with these kind of games, like the WASD and everything, but then you're trying to reload and do all these other kind of things. If you rebind it to like spacebar or a few other kind of things and just tweak it the way you kind of like it, then it becomes a lot easier. But the way it kind of was, I didn't like the fact that I had to kind of stop moving a certain direction in order to do a quick reload or anything. I might also just be old and I can't move my fingers quick enough to be able to do certain things, so that's probably just on me. So, but the fact that they let you rebind keys and everything to get it the way you like it is very nice. And once you get it figured out and get something figured out for yourself, it's super easy to get a grasp on, which I very much enjoy. Now, the story and the lore. Now, currently there's no story built into the game. There's really nothing. And with what little lore there is, it's primarily you are androids fighting another robot faction on behalf of a human faction, essentially. That's about as much as I've gotten thus far. There probably is a little bit more to it. I didn't do a deep dive, but as I mentioned before, they do have plans to add in story elements and quests. So there's going to be some stuff there, which I'm very much looking forward to. I'm kind of wondering if they're going to do some voice acting and kind of have like a backstory to each of the different classes / androids that you play, which would be kind of interesting. So, or if you're going to be like an individual controlling the androids in the fight and whatnot. I'm not sure which direction they're going to go with that, but I'm kind of curious to see how they're going to do all that. Now, replayability, as well as the replay value in the game and everything, it's definitely there. With it being a roguelike, naturally these games are built for replayability. So you can easily spend hours upon hours by yourself or with friends fighting robots in this game. So there's not a whole lot to be said there. The game is literally built for the replayability factor. So, and they do it. They do it. The mechanics and everything are very fun. Everything can be a little bit different if you choose different classes, the procedurally generated spaces and everything that you fight through and whatnot. It's all done well to the point where the things can be new every single time you play, especially depending on the people you play with. Now, the price. As I always say, with every game, everyone will spend what they want in order to be entertained. People will spend hundreds of dollars to go to a concert, to listen to music for a handful of hours. And then yet we have other people complaining that they're spending a couple $100s on a game that they could get hundreds of hours of gameplay out of, potentially. Not the case with everything, understandably. I'm just saying, everyone has a different price tag that they will spend on being entertained. Now for $20, which is what this game goes for on Steam, I feel like this game has enough in it currently to give you and your friends many hours of fun playing together. If you can pick it up on sale, absolutely great, go for it. I'm never going to say don't get something on sale. But also $20, it doesn't feel like too steep of an asking price for what is currently in the game. And for also what the game potentially will become, I feel like it's definitely worth it. With them having all these planned things that's going to drastically add more content for you and your friends to be able to play together. So I feel like the price is definitely worth it. I would spend the $20 again to buy the game. Simply, if you want to hear it from me, I would spend the $20 again to buy the game, since I did buy the game. So, with all that being said, the iron bars. The game is definitely not finished, obviously. It's in early access for a reason, and it's definitely not any Hades or any other kind of roguelike twin stick shooter game or anything like that. But for what is currently inside the game and seeing what they've done with the game since release, I feel like this game deserves a solid 8 out of 10 so far. That could drastically change depending on the future. But right now, just again, seeing from where the game started from 3 years ago to where it is now, it's had drastic improvements, and now they have several other things planned out that I am actually eager to see and will be testing out as soon as the updates come out if you guys want to see more of the game. So I can keep an eye on it when I see the next updates. I'm more than happy to bring that kind of stuff to you guys if you want, or I'll just leave it to you guys, either way. But the game is very well polished as it is so far. I haven't experienced any kind of bugs or issues at all, visual or otherwise. So the fact that they just need to keep adding more into it while polishing it as they go, I feel like this game has great potential and is worth it. So if you are a twin stick roguelike shooter fan, consider picking this game up. Yeah, you never know.